To understand why self-improvement often feels like a treadmill, we have to go back to the source of experience. As we've explored before, your feelings are generated from the inside out. They are the product of your own thinking, rather than the external world. This leads to a difficult question. If our thinking is what creates our feeling, why doesn't manually changing our thoughts produce a reliable change in how we actually feel? We pour immense energy into thought management. We use cognitive behavioral tools to rewrite internal narratives, repeat affirmations to drown out doubt, and journal for hours to dismantle specific limiting beliefs. These efforts can produce a temporary lift, but the work never feels finished. The same reactive patterns return, often the moment we stop actively managing them, or when we find ourselves stopping for a breath. When the old anxiety or fog returns, we usually conclude that we weren't disciplined enough. We assume the technique was flawed or our commitment wavered, and so we look for a more intense practice or a deeper protocol. This exhaustion is a signal that you've misdiagnosed the problem. The failure to find lasting relief has nothing to do with your willpower. It happens because you are pulling the wrong operational lever. Policing the content of your thoughts is an intervention at the level of the symptom. It addresses what the mind is producing while leaving the mechanism that produces it completely untouched. Every thought you have emerges from an underlying operating frame, a lens that organizes reality before you are even aware of it. Through an outside-in lens, you perceive external events as the direct cause of your internal state. Through this frame, the traffic, your bills, or a rude colleague are physical forces acting on you, dictating your stress or your peace. But through an inside-out lens, that same external event is recognized as neutral. You see that your awareness is generating the experience of the event from within. The colleague stays the same, but the source of the feeling shifts. The lens you are looking through dictates the specific type of thoughts that arrive. If you believe the world is acting on you, your thoughts will naturally be defensive, reactive, and urgent. Because your thoughts are a byproduct of this frame, they have no power to change the frame itself. The stream can never alter the shape of the spring it flows from. Most cognitive techniques focus on the stream. You catch a thought like, "I'm failing," and you manually rewrite it into, "I am learning from this setback." This leaves the original lens in place. You are still operating from a frame where you believe your worth and safety are dictated by external outcomes, which means you've only edited one sentence in a book that is still written in the old language. This is like trying to keep a boat afloat by bailing water out of a hole in the hull. No matter how fast you scoop, the unchanged lens will keep manufacturing new reactive thoughts. You will always be forced to manage the flood because the source of the water remains open. A system cannot fix its own structure by rearranging its output. Real relief requires an intervention at the level of the source, not the level of the symptom. A change in the lens happens without effort the moment the structure of the system becomes obvious. You don't have to work to change how you see a cliff once you realize you're standing at the edge. Recognizing this is a matter of observation. It is a recognition of mechanics, requiring no more mental exertion than noticing the floor beneath your feet. Consider how you relate to gravity. You don't have to practice trusting it, or believe in it, or use a technique to ensure it operates. You simply know that it is a constant fact of the physical world. When the mind's structure is seen with that same clarity, the lens shifts on its own. The outside-in illusion drops away because it has been recognized as a misunderstanding of how the system works. This shift has an automatic downstream effect. When you no longer believe that external events are the source of your feelings, the frantic, defensive thoughts that relied on that logic have no ground to stand on. They stop arriving because the machinery that produced them has been reconfigured. The mind is a self-correcting operation. It returns to clarity when we stop trying to manually edit the content and instead allow the system to function as it was designed. Significant change is never found in the exhausting work of managing your thoughts. It is found in the quiet recognition of the frame creating them.